Hi YouTube, this is Scottish Trucker Tommy. This video is about whether it's best to go to work with a truck in the oil field or go over the road. Everybody's got opinions. Throw me some comments, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. All right there, like I said, over the road versus the oil field. So, which is the best? Well, the reality is the spectrum of over the road trucking goes from 0 to 100, and the same in the oil field. The variation of what working in the oil field can be. I worked up in North Dakota for a while, and it was butt cold, I don't mind telling you. There was a couple of times I thought I could die because of the cold. I get stuck out there in minus 30 and the wind blowing 50 mile an hour, and all of a sudden you start to feel warm and glowy, and that's just wrong. But so the spectrum goes from being up there in North Dakota in that extreme to being people in West Texas might slag me for this, but it's pretty easy down there. It's flat land, it's nice and warm. Yeah, it rains and the roads get gooey and sticky and slidey. They do have some serious thunderstorms that can stop the wells from working because of the lightning and the big old frack crane that's pointing up to the sky. They'll shut you down. But in general, if you're hauling sand, you're just really, not to belittle the guys that are there, you're actually just a container driver hauling from the sand plant to the well. You don't really touch much, you're not shoveling much, you're not doing anything like that. It's just a container that you're hauling. Point A, point B, they take the empties off, put the good ones on, mainly flat roads in comparison to running across, northern Idaho or Montana or Wyoming. So from that aspect, it's a pretty decent job working in West Texas. New Mexico is pretty much the same, although there is some altitude there and colder temperatures in the wintertime. So that's the physical aspect of the job. Over the road, are you running from Idaho Falls to Denver and back a couple of times a week, and you're home 2 or 3 times and you're off for the weekend? Or are you just tramping and out there living in the truck? You do your reset wherever you stop, and you go where you get sent. Well, if you're working for us, I drove trucks, Jeff, our dispatcher, drove trucks, and my son Tommy in the office drove trucks. We've all done it. None of us want to send somebody to the Bronx, into the meat markets in there. We don't want to get stuck in the New Jersey Turnpike, and in best respect to California, I don't want to be driving along those highways and when all those people going to work in the morning, trying to merge with you. You use that word loosely. They're trying to run under your bumper to get in front of you. We try to find lanes that are good and stress-free and hassle-free and toll road-free, and so there are variations in over the road. That's the job aspect of it. If you're an owner-operator and you want to take a truck to the oil field, or you want to run over the road, if you're looking for consistency, you can't beat over the road, because there's always loads out there. You might be consistently not making a lot, which is what we're doing right now. Or right now you should be able to do $7,000 a week easily. We can run from here to Minnesota and back, take a load of water out and bring anything back, and do $7 grand for that little thing. It's only about 23 or 2,400 miles a round trip, and you're back here to do your reset. The guys like to do that. Or you go to Florida, bounce down there, get our load back, and that will should get you about 10. But you go then, but you have to pay for, you're burning fuel all the time, you have to pay for a trailer, we haul reefers, and so it's consistent, it's a variety, but for me, the inconsistency of the oil field, it does suck. There's no doubt about it. It is, maybe soul destroying is the wrong word, but it's no far from destroying your soul. But let me tell you, when the oil field is going, and young Wes is doing there right now, doing the bizzle for us down there. When it's going, there is nothing better than working in the oil field, because there's a hustle about it when it's working. You know, you get a load, and as soon as it's all done in the app, and as soon as you come off one load, once you get really efficient at it, you fill in your paperwork, you take a picture well before the truck moves, and you take a picture of your last load, upload it, and hit the button to ask for another load, and you get one. You're away, you're going at it, and you're running. Some of the loads will be anywhere from 60 miles in West Texas to 130 each way. You pull in there, and 9 times out of 10 there's a gantry on top, and you pull in there, and the guy will lift up your hatch, and you pull under the silo or underneath the conveyor belt, and then somebody will load you. You're sitting on top of a scale, they'll load you there, shut the hatch, you pull forward, you take your paperwork out of the little kiosk thing, you just roll down your window and you take your paperwork, take a picture of it, upload it, and then you run to the well. And a forklift unloads you and puts the empties back on. All you have to do is turn the 4 little latches in the corner, and I would say probably the cheapest load in the oil field right now pays $400. You get into New Mexico, in West Texas, and probably the best one pays $720. But once you get in New Mexico, if you want to take your trailer that far away, we've been burned there a few times, where you got there and you're in there for a few days and the well's shut, and that's it, no more work, and you have to run the 500 miles back to West Texas if you want to keep working. But when it's going, there is nothing better. It'd be easy to, if you had the work, you could do 15 grand a week in the oil field. And the way it works for the people that we're working with, there's a bit of a fuel escalator in there. So you get paid, I would say you should be doing $3 a mile most of the time, across the board averaging. The trailer rent varies, what you have to pay for your trailer, and the amount you have to pay to the company you're working for varies. But what I like about it, the big pluses for me are, number one, you're not carrying a load of frozen chicken or high dollar load. Your trailer is cheap. Your insurance should be a little bit cheaper, but it's the risk in your insurance. If you spill a load of sand, you ain't gonna, which I know I've done it, you're not going to claim that your insurance. You're just going to pay that, because the load of sand is going to be probably about the same as your deductible. Whereas if we've had a load that went on fire last year, it was 6 figures. Nobody wants to deal with that. If you break down in the oil field, you're only 50, 100 miles away from where you're going, and so somebody else can come and hook onto your trailer and take it away. There's none of this crap. We'd sent a truck from Idaho Falls, bobtailed it all the way out to Mount Vernon, Illinois, to pick up a load that we couldn't get an ECM for the truck that was pulling it. 3 or 4 weeks, they said. So what do? Leave the load on there for 3 or 4 weeks? No, you don't. We bobtailed another truck out there and picked up that trailer and went to work. So that's a big plus. There's not the same worry about, going cross country. There is an issue. I bought a tyre tonight for one of the trailers that we were pulling, and it cost me $532 for that tyre. Would I have got it cheaper elsewhere outside the oil field? Most probably. I know up in North Dakota up there, when I was there, repairs were just astronomical, and that was 2014 maybe. And workshops, the guys with the van mobile pickup trucks, the mobile mechanics were $170 an hour. So, they were earning it because it was freaking cold, but that stuff you've got to, weigh into the equation. The West Texas fuel prices are, I would say, reasonable. They're not as high as they are in the East Coast, but they're not as cheap as they are in, Louisiana and Mississippi generally. But they'll be probably less than $5 a gallon right now, and we're $5.48 up here. But when it's going in the oil field, there's a hustle. It's a great place to send a beginning driver because there's very little reversing. There's no overhang in your trailer, so your back wheels are right at the very back, and you don't back up probably hardly ever. For a new driver starting out, I remember when I tried to get hired on down there, I'd been out the country driving buses across Europe with trailers on them, double-decker coaches, and then I come back here, and because my license had not been active for 5 years, they wouldn't let me go work for people down here in West Texas. Nobody would hire me because I never had 2 years within the last 5 years. I can't remember, there's an equation. You have to have 3 years experience in the last 5 years. So we just decided to start our own company and go as a subcontractor, and nobody ever asked us any questions about how much experience I had because I wasn't working directly for them, I was working for me, subcontracted to them. But if I was going to be leased on to them, I had to have all this experience. One of them was little loophole things that we made the most of. But when we were down there, certainly, there have been times where we have killed it. We stayed at a hotel there in Big Spring, and it was right by the road, and so if Wes was driving the yellow truck and I was in the hotel room, and I think we paid $450 a week for the hotel that had all the setup on there. We had a fridge, freezer, TV. There's laundry facilities that you could pay them to do your laundry for $10 or $15. Can't remember how much it was. Showers, all that type of facility. Air conditioning in the winter time, and so that's a great thing that you don't get going over the road. So when you're hustling, you will be running all night long, all day long. The hours of service are different in the oil field. You only have a 24-hour reset. And when I was there, I don't know if it's still the same, but when you went on to, actually, there's a local rule that you use for your logs as well that makes you exempt in some of the places. But if there was a truck, if the driver was tired and he just dropped the load off and he was coming by, he would let me know, hey, that's me unloaded, and I would log on, get a load. I would just meet him out at the side of the road. The truck wouldn't even switch off. He would jump out with his stuff. I would jump in and just straight away again. And those are the good times. But there are times, let me tell you, don't think this is all glory. There are times where you're down there and the well goes down. No, you could be sitting on a box. That's even worse. If you're sitting on a load, you're at the well and the well goes down, you're stuck. It can be 2 hours, 6 hours, 24 hours, and that's really tough. That's tough in your brain. We've had that a few times where we've been doing so good, and then all of a sudden, whew, the rug's pulled from under you and you're struggling. So as a starting point, if you lived in West Texas in the oil field, I would there was no way I would consider going trucking anywhere else if I lived in the oil field, because you would just be at home and then you would be asking for a load, and then you'd wait till you get a text message to bing, there you go, you've got a load, and you just pull your boots on and jump into your truck outside and go do the load. You know, it's excellent wages if you get your truck paid off and you're working away there. Fantastic, but for consistency, you've got to go over the road. You definitely generate turnover if you're going to build a fleet. Paul's been at me for a little bit. I want to put another truck in the oil field. Well, you know what? Let's just split it. You know, have some going over the road to give you the revenue, and use your oil field is a bit like going to Las Vegas. You know, it's a gamble, and over the road is a bit like having a blue chip investment in the stock market. You know, it's never going to make you massive fortunes, but it's going to be steady. But the adventure, for a chancer like me, is always the oil field. You know, where the guys are at right now is where we worked 3 years ago. When I can see the dash cams, I can see what they're pulling into, and what, you know, like a nutcase, I watch, I can see, oh, she's there, I know that bit, I know that bit. Go down there, they take a right at that stop sign, and then we know exactly when you're going into La Mesa, what gear you need to be in with the jakes on, and then you can split a gear and the next one, and then you just meet each speed limit, and then you go through it and you're away. Adventure, because for some reason when you've got a box of sand on you and you're hauling butt, it's a good feeling, no doubt about it, no doubt about it. Plus, you're not sitting in the truck getting bored all day. You know, you're in and out and you're rocking and rolling. So yeah, so for me it would be the oil field, but consistency, it makes it tougher. I wouldn't want to go to the oil field with a truck payment. There's the thing, I'd always have an old cash truck down there rocking and rolling along, whereas over the road, the consistency can allow you to make a truck payment if you can afford it. So anyway, that's my 10 cents worth in the oil field versus the over the road. Definitely pros and cons in both, but if you're a gambler, go to the oil field. If you're the guy that would rather buy shares in AT&T or Verizon or something like that, do it. You know, but if you want to invest in space travel, go to the oil field. That'll suit you best. Thanks for watching. See ya.